Wonderful.
It is blessing from God, right?
I know it's a
No.
real bliss.
Not let it go.
Okay, so we're on live to the world. Yes. So we'll welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming in 2026. And we had Swami last Wednesday, and this is the second Saturday, second Sunday that I think I've been back. I kind of have to remember these things. So we're so excited. We have some really exciting announcements coming up too. So let's start with our chant, and then we'll go into our service. Om Sato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to mortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. So we're so excited actually because we got news that Swami Sarvadevanandaji is coming. We heard from last week. So I think it's the 11th. So it's March 11th to the 13th, and there will be an opportunity to sponsor some Maharaj's trip. I'll put an email out. Whoever wants to donate can specifically say they want to help sponsor Maharaj. And of course, your donations. Of course, your donations always. You guys are so kind to us.
And guru, so
so you certainly help us, and your donations are always. Everyone's donations are so appreciated. It keeps us going here. We try our best. That's all we can do. Is surrender to the Lord and continue on. So there is a chance, if those of you who wish to be initiated and are not yet, Maharaj will have a day for initiation here. So he's spending 2.5 days here. So that is the Wednesday, Thursday, and the Friday, half of the Friday. So I think the Wednesday we're going to have our initiation. We'll have a talk by Maharaj on Wednesday and Thursday, and then also Friday in the afternoon, I think. We're going to squeeze. He keeps on telling me, squeeze as much as you can out of the Swamis when you get here, including me. I said, Maharaj, we can't do that. I said, we love you too much. We don't want to abuse you. But the good news is that he's agreed to fly here. So instead of driving all that way, so some of the donations will go obviously to a plane ticket back and forth, and we'll do and we fly them Southwest with this early bird, and now you can actually get a seat where you can reserve a seat for the Southwest Airlines. So we always don't go the cheapest way. We always try to bring the Swamis here in style, well, at least in comfort, not style per se. They don't want that, obviously. But I just think, being able to board easily, put your stuff away, because they usually only bring hand-carrying baggage and so on. So this is exciting. I'm so excited. We haven't had him here for 3 years, I think. 2 years. 2.5.
When will you book his ticket?
As soon as possible.
Okay.
So I'll put out the email tomorrow,
Okay.
and then you guys can use the Zelle and just put down Sarvadevanandaji visit or or however you want to put that down to help with that. So we're so excited, and we'll book it right away. I just have to get his information so I can book it, because I actually haven't booked a ticket for Maharaj before myself. This will be such an honor. I have for the other ones, but not for this particular situation. Actually, I don't think he's ever flown here. I think he's flown back.
He's driven,
So we're so happy, and certainly we don't want to put more wear and tear on Maharaj than we need to, for certain. So and I'm excited because this will be my 5th year here. So I can't believe it's been almost 5 years already. I've been such an honor to have a residency here. I can't express in words what it means to me, for me to have this holy environment to live in and practice my meditations and my practice and seva, and any small things I can do for the Lord. He uses this. So, and thank you all for putting up with me and helping me learn as I go along. This wasn't my first gigs in understanding, so I had to learn as I went. So thank you so much from my heart. And we look forward to bringing some other monastics here and to build out to the center. This is the dream. I was even having a dream of Swami living here. That would be so cool.
That would be good.
Yeah.
You were having a dream of Swami Sarvapriyanandaji coming up.
Yeah.
Or
that's-
somebody
I-
resident, you were thinking, right?
Resident,
Yeah,
resident, but
resident,
Swami
yeah.
Sarvapriyan, I'm gonna work on that.
Good.
I think what we'd like to do is, usually during the summer, he likes to come. So we don't want it to be in the middle of the
Yeah.
heat
you
up
don't
here.
want to do that.
So I'll have to talk to Maharaj to explain our seasons,
fall, yeah.
the lack of
And you
seasons
probably
maybe.
Probably want to do it like UNLV or something like that.
Yeah, we have the library here, or UNLV, where we have a large
Yeah,
theater,
audience.
and we'll sell tickets or something like
And
that.
he
for
usually
donations.
likes a classroom environment because he likes to always get up on the board.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So what we may do is we might have, let him, arrange him to teach one of the classes and have a general lecture in the evening for everybody. Maybe,
Yeah.
the
Question and
Yeah.
answer.
So we'll try to do something really,
You
Luxurious.
have any contact in the management
Yeah.
school?
yeah, we have all that stuff, so. And I also have connections to the library here, which we have 450 seats at the Sahara Library
Yeah, I
too.
think it's pretty good.
And that's on this side too, so we'll see, maybe we'll do a combination, let us see. Obviously, we can't do much here, because if we do, then we're gonna have pandemonium. So we can't do that to our poor neighbors. He's too popular, he's a rock star. So, so I thought this was when I do these talks, and I was told to do these, by the way, this was not my idea. I hope all you realize that. I was kind of commanded to do these kind of talks and some years ago, and I was horrified because I haven't done these kinds of things like this ever, well, for 30, 40 years, something like that. And so I just surrendered. And it's really amazing because every month or every week when I have to do these talks, I just surrender to Ma. And I really tell her, what do you want the topic to be? I really don't have any clue, usually when it's coming up. And she gives us this topic all perfectly formatted. And it's always amazing to me how perfect it is, because quite frankly, I like to hear what she has to say about the subject myself, because I have no idea what she's going to say. As you maybe don't know, I don't prepare for these talks. I do a few references to perfect being, the divine beings, sayings, Thakur, and some beautiful beings that have been blessing this world. But that's it. And then whatever she says, she says. So this is kind of the way that this goes. And I made a bargain with her. If she talks, I'll stop her and let her say whatever she wants to say. So this is the way this has been going along for these last years. And so I just thank Ma so much, and Thakur. Maybe you feel as I do, that the world seems in such a place these days. Such a place that we haven't seen maybe for many, many years. And when Ma gave the topic, freedom, peace of the soul, it's such a beautiful topic and an answer to this world right now. Freedom, peace of the soul. It seems to be the answer, because we went through these yugas before, where Sri Kishore gave a 24,000 year cycle of yugas. That there's the lowest of the dark ages was 499 AD. The highest of the Satya Yuga was 10,500 BC. And then we have been going down ever since. And then at 499 AD, there was the lowest mental and spiritual development of the general populace of the world. And then it continues to go up from 499 AD into the higher ages again. And we're, according to Sri Kishwarji, we're in Dwapara Yuga, which is the age of the mental, of the atom, and of the mental development of mankind again. And he showed in 1700 so on, it was exact the nadi between Kali and Dwapara had finished, and proper Dwapara had started right at the time when there was Newton and all these amazing scientific breakthroughs of the 16th century and so on. Really amazing, because if you go back from there, it was still the, if you're a scientist, you might get burned at the stake type of situation. In the West, anyways,
Yes.
right? Maybe in the East, it was a little kinder to science, but I'm not sure. It wasn't a good time for anyone. And you see that the religions that were given at that time that solidified themselves at that time, which was Christianity, really solidified itself at that 499 AD. You know, not the original Christianity of perhaps Christ, but what the church taught as Christianity became to the fore with the Council of Constantinople and all of these things. And so churchianity kind of took over. Even Judaism, the temple was destroyed in 79 AD. And so even rabbinic Judaism took over from there after 1,000 years. So what we have of Judaism was more or less that teaching, not the original Judaism of what the temple periods were. And some of those scriptures were hidden, but sometimes not understood. Even in India, look what happened, really a huge misunderstanding came about, and that's how we got the yugas that we have now, that are the Orthodox yugas, which have 400 and some odd thousand years of Kali Yuga, which would have been impossible to face.
It's over.
It's impossible to face, right? Oh my golly, I can't even imagine. So, there was really a lack of all of these understandings, but there was always a time capsule in India that kept these beautiful truths sacred and preserved. And so there was the few always in India, maybe in Himalayas, maybe in some ashramas in different places in the forests and so on. Some great masters and spiritual, amazing beings that seemed to, even in the Kali Yugas, there was still such beautiful souls that were teaching the truth and understanding the truth. And so this time capsule kind of continued until the advent of really Sri Ramakrishna. If you really see it, if you're really honest, not that I'm partisan at all or sectarian in any way, trying to talk about this, but you just look at the facts. Really, there was a hidden spirituality was really in its darkest ages because there was Christianity in the West, and it was pretty much, if you're good, you go to heaven, if you're bad, you go to hell forever. I mean, what kind of an idea could that possibly be? It's so frightening. But there was some saints too. Some few saints that seemed to shine through all of this stuff, but very few. And they didn't make such a big mark in the world. And you had to really go and find them. And even in India, with what was really going on, there was such, of course, it was a conquered nation at that time, and people started to distrust their own religions and not respect it. And the general masses were not were feeling like second-class citizens in their own country. I mean, horrible things were happening. But with the advent of Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda, he was told, if you get these secrets, you have to keep them secret. He said, no, I will not do that. I will broadcast them the highest tower, telling everybody. The exact words I don't have on my lips right now, but you all remember them. And that was his philosophy from the very beginning. His heart was so big. It was a jnana outside and a bhakti inside. He had such compassion for suffering humanity. You could just the stories of him would cry just from mention of these sufferings of the starvings of India and so on. So he was the one who came to the West to start this process, and he broadcast the highest truths that were hidden in the ashrams and the caves of India for centuries, for thousands of years actually, and he broadcast them to the world. And when the Wests were amazed at the highest, and only a few, of course, could understand these things. It wasn't like everybody in the West. He was an Indian, a dark-skinned Indian coming to America, which was a horribly racist place, horribly. So he was treated just despicably in some cases. Of course, he was honored in other cases. But just imagine the reality of just as a human being coming to this West at that time, in the 1800s. It's just beyond our even, to understand what he's suffering, he must have gone through. But he did plant the seeds of spirituality and Vedanta, the highest, Veda Vedanta here in the West, and it was appreciated here, and therefore it started being appreciated back in India. It was really funny how that works, isn't it? If your friends or your neighbors or the populace see value in something, then you start seeing it yourself.
Well, the thing is, India was under so much other conquered by so many other invaders.
That's what I
right?
was saying. It was a conquered
Yeah.
nation. So they had lost their self-confidence. They had lost
Yeah,
their
I mean,
faith
they
in
could not
themselves.
practice things and without. And here's the thing: it's towards the end. It was in the British, right? So they had to convince the British of the things in India, and
That's right.
from British it
Yes,
was
that's right.
accepted by the British and therefore the Indians,
That's right. That's correct. So that's what I said, is that he came to US and he went to England itself.
Mhm.
And in the lion's den, shall we say, of the Christian missionaries, which were some of the most aggressive, violent practitioners of religion, and just saying horrible things about the Indian traditions and Indian religions and wisdoms. But he went and conquered them. I mean, they had no defense against wisdom like this. They were totally defenseless because they were just talking unbelief. How many angels will dance on the head of a pin? This was their theological big debates of the day. There was nothing
no
of wisdom
philosophy involved.
in
It was
the West.
all
Correct.
yeah.
And of course, we're live here on this to try to give to everybody some idea of what's really, really going on with the advent of Sri Ramakrishna and Vivekananda. Of course, since then, we've had some other teachers that came to follow up Swami Vivekananda because he was only able to give a hint at what was really there in Sanatana Dharma. And so we've had people like Paramahansa Yogananda Ji who came and taught really the meditation techniques of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras in the step-by-step path for the scientific mind, as he put it. And of course, that was just an expansion on what Swami Vivekananda had done on the four yogas. Of course, he hinted at it in Raja Yoga, but he wasn't able to give detailed instruction because that wasn't his path. That wasn't what he was supposed to do. He really gave a hint as all the yogas, the Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Raja Yoga. And of course, I think he gave maybe the most flesh on the bones to Jnana Yoga because that was his passion. He was an enlightened, he was a non-dualist, and he was Shiva. And what can you say? But also he had the heart of deepest compassion. So I thought about this. And now we have so many tools that we didn't have 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago. But we have cycles of karma that repeat. So if we look at what's going on now, we have people that are being denigrated as immigrants are. We've got people being said that you're no good and you don't belong and you should go because of because of the color of your skin or because of your status or this or that or the other thing. And this is happening in America, where America used to be the champion of freedoms and democracy and so on. It's kind of turned itself upside down. And if you understand the cycles of karma, you understand that same groups of people reincarnate again and again and again. And as Swamiji said, it's coming to the same point, but it's in a spiral, hopefully going upwards. So you're not really experiencing exactly the same way in this cycle, in this ascending yuga. It's an ascending spiral. Whereas if it's a descending yuga, then it's a descending spiral, and it's kind of depressing to think about it. But you come to the same cycle. So you look at the slavery situation and the Civil War. Then you look at what's going on with the with the civil rights movement and the protests and all the things that were achieved there. Then you look at World War II with the kinds of things that were done in Europe in the name of controlling people and having absolute control over the whole country, and then having designs on your other countries. And at that time, this was kind of a new thing where people were totally taken up by it. Now in America, we have some things that are actually, the cycles is coming around. But the difference is that we have experiences in history, in recent history, of a very similar pattern of actions and things of a governments. So that hopefully there's enough people that can understand, that have the understanding to rise up to prevent the worst of the worst from happening like it did back in the 40s, the 30s. So we really, really have to understand that there is a divine plan behind this, and there's a divine direction. I mean, controlling, influence is the best way to put it. There's divine influence. Even in World War II, some of the worst things were averted from happening by small, slight changes in the thinking or a thought planted in a certain person's mind at a certain time. And these things changed the tide of the world's history. So we have to understand that there is grace. But how can we feel comfort ourselves? I think freedom of peace of the soul is the idea of this talk. So how can we personally get comfort when we need it? Because obviously, I know people wake up to feelings of real dread and real fear in this world now for some different reasons, okay? And some people, of course, are egging it on and really wanting these kinds of things to be implemented. But other people are truly horrified and wake up horrified. So how can we give comfort to those who are needing comfort through this message of Vedanta and of Sanatana Dharma? And that's the idea here of this talk today. And so I thought I would take it from the outside and go towards the inside of the circle. Because there's different layers of how you can use that. It's the beauty of Sanatana Dharma. There's not one pat answer, believe in this and that's it. There's so many access points to Sanatana Dharma. Depending on our development and our ability to understand and our position right now in our lives and so on. And the first thing is that loving surrender to a benign, divine deity, divine figure, whatever the most amazing, loving being in your own heart, that can be your Ishta. That's your God, that's your divinity. And so the things that speaks closest to your heart is the thing that you want to, if in this particular idea of Dvaita, of the devotion of bhakti, find the thing that really speaks to your heart naturally, this as a starting point. Now, some people have had an Ishta for all their lives. A lot of Indian folks they're brought up in a certain tradition of Ishtas, or a Christian might have Christ. But other people really didn't have anything. I had a lady the other day come to me and said, I really want to have a closer devotional relationship, but I don't know what to love, or what should I direct my devotion to. And that's a common situation these days, and for some people. And I say, find the thing that speaks to you the deepest, that touches your heart the most. And in some cases, Thakur would, or some other of the teachers would say, if your child is something you really love, or your mother or your father, if you really have such deep feeling for them, or one of the, Rama or Krishna or mother and his Kali, or Durga or Lakshmi or Saraswati, or any of the forms of Ma that you have, or a non-form being, just love itself, pure love. Whatever this is, that can be your Ishtadeva, and that can be your focus of your surrender and your heart. But there are such beautiful examples like Anandamoy Ma and Srimad Krishna, Sarda Devi, all these, Swami Vivekananda, you have Swami Brahmanandaji, but you have, of course, Shiva and Ma Kali and all the Mas. You have so many forms. Krishna is, of course, a very big stealer of hearts in India. So whatever goes naturally, I think, is the way. You don't want to fight against it or try to create something that's not there. It's finding reality and truth, something that speaks to you in this particular way. So what do some of the divine beings have to say about this? So we always go to the ones who are realized, right? And here's Anandamoy Ma. I picked a couple of different people just to give some good viewpoints. She said, live with the conviction that God is in the closest contact with you, and you will gradually discover that there is nothing but God. So with the conviction, so whatever that Ishtadeva is for you, whatever that closest being is, the mother, the father, the child, sometimes it's our child, God is the child. Just feel that they're the closest thing with you. When you're sleeping at night or trying to go to sleep at night and your mind is tearing you in 1,000 directions, just have that conviction that Ishta is right there with you. And that's why sometimes we'll talk about some of the other things they talk about. Sometimes there's really practices that can really help, that have to be done consistently in order to bring you close to that inner connection that's always there. Because if it's not there as a natural birthright, then you're in trouble. And that's the beauty about what you'll learn from a lot of what is being said here, is that connection is never broken. Even if we can't feel it, if we can't perceive it, if it's not something real to us now, that connection of infinity is always there for us. It can never be broken. And this is where Christianity with this forever hell thing has really caused a lot of trouble. Because people feel that they're not worthy of being connected to God, that they don't deserve God's grace. That's a really dangerous thing to plant in people's minds. It's a horrible thing to plant in people's minds. It's very, very, very dangerous. Paramahansa Yogananda, of course, he's very close to my heart. He says, if you always think of God as the nearest of the near, you will witness many wonders in your life. So the closer you feel, like I remember I was in the cafeteria, I was working as a janitor for a college after I had graduated. I was just needed something to do. My stepfather got me this job where I was just cleaning up. I was between college terms. And they had some, I can't even remember, it was kind of dessert. I think it was a Rice Krispie treat or something like this, right? And I was thinking, oh, it would have been nice to get one. I didn't get one. Somebody brought me one and handed it to me just out of the blue. In that little thing, because I was thinking of God, and it was like an answer to this idea that it was a prayer of mine, that something small like that was responded to almost immediately. And you just it makes you feel so close to that divine essence. I walked into I won't say this too many places, but I walked into the Chicago Windy City hot dog place, and I don't eat hot dogs. But I walked in there and I was really hungry, and I had used to go there. It was so funny. And I ordered just what I had normally ordered, which is not hot dogs. And I looked on the sign and it said, if your name is Jeff, you get a free hot dog today. Yeah, swear to God. I have a picture of it. I took a picture. But it meant so much to me because it was the divine just showing that, the love was there always. So it pops up sometimes in all these little ways. And sometimes the most insignificant mean the most to you. Just that, when you're living in contact with that divine essence and you're surrendered to it, just these little things make all the difference. And then when the big things come along, you have a lot more connection, a little bit of momentum, as they say, to handle that kind of stuff. And this is something that I think this is another one, Ma again. She says, silent japa should be engaged at all times. Waste not one breath uselessly. Whenever one has nothing special to do, one should silently practice japa in rhythm with one's breathing. In fact, this exercise should go on continuously until doing japa has become as natural as breathing. And this is a beautiful, beautiful thing that I find really helpful now, is when I'm traveling, sometimes my days and nights get a little messed up, and Nina didn't explain to you, this last week has been a little bit of a struggle for me. And I find that doing my japa to the ingoing and outgoing breath when I'm laying in bed, instead of taking some kind of a night pill or something, which wears off and then you wake up, and then you're in real trouble and you have to take more and more. And then you're really tired by the time you need to wake up because you get all these things in you. So just that alone made a huge difference. So, and then when there's real danger, or there's real worry about somebody you love or whatever, if you have a japa practice, this is really beautiful. There's also, for those who don't have japa practices, some have a pranayama practice with breath. That also can be done. Sometimes the japa is a little different in that. It's not really a japa to a ishta, but it's a japa, it's a mantra. So these things can be really continually practiced, not just when you're sitting in meditation, but when you're active in the world. And it's really, really helpful to not disassociate meditation and spiritual practice with normal life when things really come to general hit you. But now, so this is a beautiful relationship that kind of keeps you separate from God, and then they're giving you favors and they're giving you blessings and all that. Okay, that's one attitude to God. But as Sri Ramakrishna explained, there's deeper and more interior paths that start to form themselves. Whereas now you become closer and closer to that Ishta. Now you become one eventually with that Ishta. So Divine Mother and you eventually become so close that there is no difference between you and that. And the only thing that's there is that. And then you're out of the picture. And obviously that's a state maybe further removed from us, many of us, than but the idea is to get closer and closer to that. So what do the great ones say on that? And this is why I always go to the divine realized beings, because they've done it. They live in that space. They live in that reality. So this is what Ramana Maharshi said. He said, Pranabji's going to call. I'll let you guys see Ma while I'm talking because I don't want to waste the opportunity. So here, I'll give it to you, please. All of you can pass it around. I don't want you to waste a darshan of Ma. But here is what Ramana Maharshi has said, which is really beautiful. He said, if you go on working with the light available, you will meet your master as he himself will be seeking you. Now this is something that's brought up a little bit interesting, because we think that it's our job to chase God and to find God, right? But this brings in an aspect that is it's okay if you don't have it. You can just see it and just watch it for a little while. So just think about this though. Not only are you seeking that, but that is seeking you.
It's the same thing Ramakrishna, they were seeking Vivekananda, right?
Exactly. And that's kind of the juxtaposition. It's okay, Mina. We'll just watch it. Don't worry about it. And if you can see it, that's great. So think about this. And this is really a profound thought. So if you go on working with the light available, you will meet your master as he himself will be seeking you. Now, actually, it's said in different ways by some of the other great ones. So not only are you seeking God and you seem to be not finding him and there's horrible situations happening to you, but that is also seeking you. If you think about the reality of the situation, if there really, how many centers of awareness and consciousness, centers and awareness of consciousness are there? Is there more than one? Really, in ultimate reality, if what the great ones, the Vaidyanats are saying is true, there's only one awareness. So that awareness, you are that. So of course, this is saying it in colloquial ways so that we can understand it in our state of awareness. But that is, in our state of awareness, that is seeking us because that is us. That has never been separate from us. So it is always following us, that is always present in our lives. Not one second is it not there. There's stories of Jesus saying, footprints in the sand, where, sometimes I only see, I see that you were walking beside me, but sometimes I only see one set of footprints. And then he said, no, that's when I had to carry you. So always the Lord is there, always. So this is a beautiful thing to start to get closer to, and that is surrender. That's why Srimad Krishna gave a story of a monkey and a kitten. And he said a baby monkey holding on to its mother might fall because he might lose grip of the mother. That's kind of our conception of if we're just doing that, if our actions are. But the kitten has no such worries because the mother carries the kitten. The mother is responsible completely. The kid just is surrendered totally to the mom. So this is the idea of deeper and deeper connections to the Ishta, to the divinity, to the beneficence, to the beautiful love, infinite state of awareness that gets closer and closer until we start to understand and unraveling in different ways, the small things. And then, of course, if you really are part of connection with that, then this is from Amaji, which is also, I got about 3 hugs from Amaji, by the way. I was really blessed earlier in my life. She's not so easy of access now. I think there's football stadiums. Our attitude should be, whatever happens, I will remain strong, courageous, and happy. That's a wonderful mantra of surrender. If I'm going to surrender, it's not going to be to the unknown. I'm going to be strong, courageous, and happy because my mother is taking care of everything, or Krishna is taking care of everything, or I am one with the infinite existence, consciousness, bliss of everything. It is all one. I'm floating on the infinite. It's just floating effortlessly on the sea of consciousness and bliss and immortality. This is a beautiful thought. And that surrender becomes deeper and deeper. And it's sad, but the only way to really gauge surrender is when there is difficulties. If you think about it, when things are going really well, there's no real concept of surrender, right? You're just kind of going along with everything. But in these times, they say in the dark ages, more people find liberation than in the higher ages because things are going along swimmingly. And so there's really no confrontation. That's why they say you have to come to this world to find liberation. What Vivekananda said, and so did many masters. You have to be born here of creation, whereas in other areas of creation, they're your karmic vibration. And so you have to be in harmony with that sector of creation to be able to exist there. So you're kind of separated from other parts of creation in that sense. So there are truly heavens. And punya is a real thing where you exhaust punya and then you can't go and you can't stay in heaven any longer, right? You gotta go get some more. But if you go beyond punya, if you go beyond good and evil and bad, then all of this thing, that's what liberation truly is. So, for times you want to get all the good karma you can and go to the highest heaven, that's fine. If that's what your conceptions are, then that's what you need to do and that's what you will do. Each body will be built for that. But to go beyond all this nonsense, this continuing cycle is what we're talking about. Here's Anandamoy Ma when she was young, and so sweet, such a beautiful picture of her mom. Let's see if you can see. Yeah, look. You can see that. Whatever tale you tell me, this is it. Think about what a divine being sees in our crazy world of suffering. This is what she said. Whatever tale you tell me, whatever suffering you are going through, I see only God in you, the blessed Lord himself. And yet, your sorrow touches me. Can you imagine? I mean, that's certainly not where my state of awareness is yet, but, a divine being, and I'm sure Ramana would have to say that it would probably be a similar experience. He sees everything as God, and yet there is an imposition of suffering or shadows on the light somehow with this amazing Maya that seems to have omnipotence to be able to cover the divine Lord, the Supreme Lord, covered with ignorance or separation. It's hard to even imagine that that's possible, right? But it is. And this is what Anandamoy Ma said. She said, if you want to be liberated, you must be like a bird that has broken its chain and without a thought of food or shelter, fearlessly soars up into the sky. That's what she said. So to me, that evokes non-attachment, real. And I was thinking about that recently, my previous experiences in this life, things that have come and gone, all the amazing experiences, all the sometimes not so wonderful experiences, all these things, all the things that seem solid to me, like going to a certain country and existing there like this, or even here, and certain things that we took for granted that were realities in this country and that are gone. I realized that all of those things, anything in creation, anything in separate objective existence, it has to be completely non-attached to that, anything, even to our bodies, even to our minds, even to, sometimes we take great pride in having a very clear mind. Some of the great swamis, when they're ended their life, they started forgetting things, and they said, "Oh, that's okay. It served its purpose." They were able to say that at the end of their lives. One of the swamis from the Vedanta order, Swami Sarvadevanandaji, was talking about him. He said, "Oh, it's okay. It served its purpose." Even that great intellect that some of the swamis have possessed, they're not attached to that because it comes and goes. So this is really, really amazing. This is beautiful. This is Ramana Maharshi. You wouldn't think that he would say something like this, actually. This is kind of out of character for him, but he was, if you really dive deep into him, he had teaching for everybody. Even though his basic clearest teaching was in non-duality and complete ultimate non-separation. He had pearls of wisdom for anybody. He said, "In those who are fortunate enough to surrender to the feet of their Sadguru, the supreme bhakti will grow. Such bhakti will itself grow into jnana, which will completely burn away all other unworthy desires." Isn't it beautiful? I would never have thought that Sri Ramana would have something like this to offer to the world. But, this is such beauty. And those who are fortunate enough to surrender to the feet of their Sadguru, the supreme bhakti will grow. Such bhakti will itself grow into jnana, which will completely burn away all unworthy desires. And that's kind of like what karma yoga is too. If you want to burn away all, it's like we say, oh, how do I become non-attached? How do I become more free? Karma yoga is what they say over and over again. It purifies the mind and its desires in the heart. It's karma yoga and bhakti. Those two in combination are really. Sometimes you can't have bhakti to begin with, or that predisposition. And so everybody can do a selfless act. Everybody can help somebody without expectation of some return. This is one of the most purifying things that can be done for its own sake. Now, if you do it to get punya and to get higher karma, it'll work.
That's shopkeeping.
It'll work. It works. I mean, there is an account up in heaven where you start getting, retirement dollars. But again, all of those accounts eventually drain dry. So what do? So this is really, really interesting. So here's Ramana Maharshi again. He said, fortunate, and this is really beautiful. Fortunate is the person who does not lose himself in the labyrinths of philosophy, but goes straight to the source from which they all arise. So you think about it. A lot of people are very learned in scriptures and Upanishads and Vedas and Bible passages and whatever their religion has. But under those really horrible experience circumstances. I just went last night to a friend who has stage 4 cancer and months maybe to live. And we went to a show together with his wife and some friends of ours. When something like that hits you, all of those things don't really mean a lot. When that's facing you in the mirror, your philosophical learnings really don't mean a lot. So this is really beautiful because at some point we have to realize what is valuable, what has meaning to me, what am I using this life to achieve? Am I using the precious moments of this life to get something that is really lasting, that can really serve you well? Or am I adding something to my ego that is just going to be gone and recycled to the next lifetime to start over again? This is what really hit me when I was reading stuff like this and meeting people, knowing people that are going through those type of situations, is that really the inner work, the idea of that japa, of going back into the surrender of that essence, constantly recollecting that, constantly living in that essence, constantly sharing that in daily life or praying for people with that essence, sharing it to the world, bringing light into the world, which is just karma yoga, okay? But selflessly, but just keeping on doing those inner work that gets you beyond the fear, beyond the emotions, beyond the mind, beyond all those things to stillness. That's where it is the most important. And that is what returns the infinite return from investment, if you want to call it that, is because it brings you to that one state of awareness that you truly are. And that's what all these amazing beings tell us. And it really is, it's a great thing to be honest. It takes, especially at certain points in your life as you get older, I think it's a natural thing to really do a little accounting of, okay, where do I stand? Where do I stand in this life? What have I done? When I close my eyes finally, what's going to be the final chapter? What will it say? What will I have achieved? What will I go into the next world going on with? Will I go into the next world wanting all these other things or repeated experiences or things that you haven't gotten, or that'll just create the next life and you'll certainly have that? Or do you find a way open for non-attachment to be the last thing. You know, like they said, the king thought of deer and he got reincarnated as a deer. Well, I think that's a kind of a exaggeration so that we can get the point of the story. But any strong point of attachment will entrap you. That's what they say. Any strong point of attachment. You know, a small thing, if you want a chapati, it's not probably not gonna bring you back to this world for a chapati. It's certainly you can have a chapati in the astral world. But the truth is, any strong point of attachment. And the other thing is, you know, not everybody's going to be able to be there at the end of this life, you know. But if you get so close, the next life should be really the final one. And you'll have all the graces of the great ones around you since birth or something like that. You know, you'll have all the favorable things in your way. This is beautiful. This is from Lord Buddha. He said, the mind is like water. When it is agitated, it is difficult to see through. But when it settles, the answer becomes clear. The ability to still the mind in the midst of chaos is one of life's greatest skills. And that's so true. So how do you do that, Jampa? It's wonderful. One thing that's really beautiful is taking the attention off of yourself and putting it on others and giving. You know, something simple like that, because if you're really so freaked out, generally it's about what's going to happen to you. If it's about a loved one, that's certainly understandable too, okay? But if it's about you or worries about this or that or this and the other thing, this is beautiful. It really shows that can you take the attention off of yourself because it's focused and it'll just devastate you. It just leads nowhere. It's an endless cycle going downward. Then Buddha also said, the highest form of power is detachment. Stop reacting. Stop chasing, stop begging, stop explaining, stop forcing, and finally you start living peacefully and for yourself. Now, I don't think that's probably what he said exactly, but I think it was an attribution to him. But the idea is really strong and powerful. The highest form of power is detachment, and I think that's true. What liberation truly is, a bodhisattva idea or Javanmukta, somebody who's free while living, has no attachment to anything, including their body, including their mind, including their emotions, including anything. It's totally surrendered and it flows. And so this is the end of, they say, struggle ceases in surrender. It's a beautiful saying. I heard that when I was really young and I didn't understand it well until I had a lot more struggles. But it's beautiful. Detachment and surrender is really one of the highest sadhanas. However you practice it, in reality, not in that scriptural thing, but in reality, this is how you would really check yourself in that time. And then when you get there, this is what's Ramana Maharshi, this sounds more like Ramana. Desirelessness is refraining from turning the mind towards any object. Wisdom means the appearance of no object. Desirelessness is refraining from turning the mind towards any object. So this is really the beauty. So we're thinking that we have to say, oh no, I don't want that, I don't want that. That's not what he's saying is what true desirelessness is. It's because we're projecting the mind outward and our attention outward that we get caught into those traps and can't help it. It's like the Gita says to withdraw the limbs inside your shell like a tortoise, right? Withdraw the senses. So it's what Swami Vivekananda said also. He said, I bloodied my head because I found no peace anywhere. I had a bloody forehead because I was bowing to everything all over the place, and I found no peace. He said, I didn't find peace until I turned within. And this is exactly such an important point. So many lifetimes we're focused outward on gaining the right kind of rebirth and gaining heaven and gaining peace and gaining this or that, anything outside of us, whatever we think, love, wealth, money, power. So many lifetimes, and nothing will possibly resolve itself. There will be no fulfillment in anything external. But he said, once you turn the mind within, it cuts off all those things that are not real, and all those things that are alluring. And that's the only way. What they're saying here is that's the only way to stop it, stop this crazy cycle of is turning the attention, all the energy within. And that's what comes with more and more detachment. And of course, some of the yoga pranayams start doing that tremendously. The energy starts turning within. And then I just have 2 more and then we'll finish. I think we did pretty good. We'll chant and then we'll be done. And this is another Moima. Who am I? Once you sit down and ponder seriously over this question, you will discover that all book learning that you have crammed into your brain and all the practical experience that you have gained in active life are not of the slightest help in solving this question. Isn't she sweet? Oh, she was, from her birth, she was enlightened. Good gosh. Who am I? Once you sit down and ponder seriously over this question, you will discover that all the book learning that you have crammed in your brain and all the practical experience that you have gained in active life are not of the slightest help to solving that question. So it's all that inner work. That's everything. Which means that it's really wonderful in that everybody's equal then. You don't have to have any position in life or anything to be able to do that. And sometimes the less you have outwardly, the more time, the more freedom you have inside, inwardly. And finally, and this is another one again. So long as the mind's movement does not turn within, it is impossible to find God. Therefore, try your utmost to make your mind look inward. By becoming inward tuned, God, who is enthroned on the lotus of your heart, will be revealed. That's so beautiful. This is such a beautiful picture of Ma. I'll leave that out for you guys to see. Just her whole energy. She was so young, even from a child, she was just God. She was Ma. But she was a Ma of wisdom. She was very non-dualist in her ultimate pronouncements. If you really read a lot of what she said, especially later in life, it's amazing. Like this is pretty much non-dualism, turn within.
Yeah.
But of course, a lot of people worship her as the Divine Mother, rightly so. And those people are needing an image, an Ishta. What a beautiful one. What a beautiful, beautiful Ishta to have somebody like that who lived every moment in that awareness. Really deserve our adoration and our like Sri Krishna, like all these beings. Every moment of their life is kind of documented. They had your childhood friends, you had their mother and their father, you had, you don't get off pretty easy in this world. They know if you really find it all, it's going to be somehow splashed all over the world somehow. By the way, next time I was in India and I got this beautiful book, Ramakrishna Kathamrita and Ramakrishna by Swami Vedananda. And it's a beautiful book because he goes through the Kathamrita and gives his own personal reminiscences and so on. It's a beautiful book. I bought it at the ashram in Bangalore. So we'll go through this book a little bit together. Yeah, because it's a little bit like the Kathamrita. It's not exactly like the Gospel because it's the Kathamrita, it's the Bengali translation. But he did the translation from Bengali to English.
Oh.
So this is a really neat book.
It's different than the Nikhilananda's.
Yeah, in some ways. And so is the Kathamrita. If you read the translation of the Kathamrita, it is slightly two, if you noticed. I don't know if you've read the two, but they're not exactly the same.
Yeah, you cannot translate.
Yeah.
That's so hard.
And sometimes it's actually substantially different in certain cases, but it's okay. It's all intellectual stuff, right? You just have to go to the essence. But it's a beautiful book, and I just happened to be walking because I love that place, and of course the Swamis are they really are special. The head Swami there is such a sweet, sweet soul. He really is so kind. And so I just happened to be walking, and I was just walking for, 20 minutes in the bookstore, and there's so many things, right? Nothing really jumped out at me, right? And I just walked around the corner and around the town, and I finally saw this, and it's just a small book, but it just made me buy it, right? Because a lot of the other things we have in the library here that we have access to, this is one we didn't. So we'll go through that and make it back. Okay. Well, why don't we chant a little bit and just digest all the things that Ma decided to give us today. So we'll do, and you have the chant books. We'll chant the Divine Mother maybe first, and then we'll do Ramakrishna Sharanam. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Because I think it's a good idea, right? So Om Aim, we'll do Jai Shri Durga, but we'll do Om Aim Jai Ma, Jai Ma Kali, Jai Ma Durga, Jai Ma Lakshmi, Jai Ma Saraswati, and then Jai Ma Sharda. And we'll finish with that, okay? And then we'll do Ramakrishna Sharda. Sounds good. I love chanting them out. Jai Ma Kali, Namo. Om Jai Ma Kali, Namo. Jai Ma Kali, Jai Ma Kali, Jai Ma Kali, Namo. Jai Ma Durga, Namo. Jai Ma Durga, Namo. Jai Ma Durga, Jai Ma Durga, Jai Ma Durga, Namo. Jai Ma Lakshmi, Namo. Jai Ma Lakshmi, Namo. Jai Ma Lakshmi, Jai Ma Lakshmi, Jai Ma Lakshmi, Namo. Saraswati, Namo. Saraswati, 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 Namo. Jai Ma Sharda, Namo. Jai Ma Sharda, Namo. Jai Ma Sharda, Jai Ma Sharda, Jai Ma Sharda, Namo. And we'll do Ramakrishna Sharda. If you want to use any of the things, we can. Can you get it? Yeah, I can help. Yeah, if you guys want to join in, have a rhythm section. There you go. I don't know if Galuk wants. Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Sharanam He Prabhu. Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Sharanam Krishna Kevalam, Krishna Kevalam, Krishna Kevalam, Sharanam Kripa, Kevalam, Kripa, Kripadi Kevalam, Kripadi Kevalam, Kripadi Kevalam, Charan, Jai Jai Ram Krishna Charanam, Ram Krishna Charanam, Ram Krishna Charanam, Charan, Ram Krishna Charanam, Ram Krishna Charanam, Ram Krishna Charanam, Charan, Charanam, Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Namo. Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Namo. Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanam Prabhu Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanam Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Jaya Ram Krishna Jaya 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 Jaya Ram Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Thank you all for coming. So wonderful. We look forward to Swami Atmavidanandaji's coming on the 4th of February. And next week we'll have a puja, but I won't be here, so we'll have you guys do the puja. And then I'll be back the following week. So we'll start on our book. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Thank you. And thank you all for being with us online.